Hello everyone, I'm Xiaogang. In this lesson, we'll guide you through writing this. When writing, we first create a blank one. This way. If you're setting up a project, it will be clear. Then we still select these and we choose F, P, C and we call it simple. Then we'll just place it over here. This project doesn't really need to be shared. It's too simple. If you already know how to do it, you don't need this. If you don't know, you should write it yourself. So that's how it is. We won't include it in the course materials. Then we'll wait a moment for it to finish creating. Okay, it's done creating. If you open it, it should look like this. It's normal. Then regarding our VS, okay, you can see its plan. Should be quite suitable for our needs. There shouldn't be any issues. So now let's do it step by step. First of all, we won't use this world partition. We'll directly use this simple. Now open world map. Specifically, this world partition is mainly used when doing world partitioning. This is a relatively advanced feature. Then let's expand this. Then let's save this map and put it here. It depends on your personal naming habits. That is, how do you plan to place this thing? I'll just place the boundaries according to my own habits. Okay, let's put it into the maps folder, then put it here. And I like to call it map. That's our main map. After this is done, inside M33-004 here, we first need to change its modern map. Okay, then changed. Okay, that's done. After the modifications are done, the most important thing is still to confirm whether our current compilation can pass. Because sometimes the compilation might not pass. This is very normal. We must confirm that the compilation can pass before we proceed to the next step. Yes, then we launch it through VS. And here, it basically meets our requirements. Nothing much to do. You can see it has already created these things for you. And the enhanced input system is also there. Next, let's create these files. What should be created for these files? We might need a character. We need a game mode. Need a player controller. Then we need an actor-derived project and a component derived from them. Right. Okay. So before we create them, we first need to import the assets. We find this official project. This asset has many ways to import. We'll just demonstrate. The most common import method, we can copy and paste. It can also be directly migrated. Our level prototype, we won't need it anymore. We no longer need these level prototype assets. What we mainly need is this. The ARM part is needed. We'll do it this way. First, when we migrate, we can use this through this code. Take a look at migrate. Then we can check. It roughly depends on these things. Its dependency level is a bit high. Let's check again. We don't need to include this dependency. So let's take another look like this. Did it write something else? Since it needs this thing, let's take a look at this part. We only import these two folders. We don't need the stuff inside this one. Actually, we could just copy this over. That would be fine too. But for this enhanced input system, let's still go ahead and write it out. Create these assets and then migrate them here. Then we put it into this. Migration must be done under the same path for it to work. So we can only put it under this content folder, put it below, then click confirm. Okay, the migration is successful here. Let's hide it. Now we have this asset here. Let's check it, see if these assets are normal. This asset looks like it should be fine. After this, mesh is easily completed here. Actually, we don't really like placing it this way. Sometimes we might prefer placing it this way. Because for this kind of raw asset, we generally don't like to modify it. Let's put it into the master folder. Move it over like this. Then when you move it over like this, then we need to, after move, we need to make a fix like this. We need to fix it. Fix the heavy low phase air. Then we move this over. Okay. Then this is fine. Let's check again. Because when moving assets, There are actually sometimes, especially when dealing with a large number of assets, moving can cause such a problem. Then what do we do next? Now let's create these few files. Let's create them one by one. First, let's take a look at the game mode. Let's look at this game mode. It should be using this game mode. Let's check. Move it to the right. It should be using game mode base. So we can just use game mode base as well. Because for the game mode, it actually does some deeper level encapsulation. We can say that if you use it to provide some methods, you might not need them. So this game mode base should be the one with the highest degree of freedom. We select a next, then we place it under this path. As for the name, let's just call it. No need to add a prefix here, because it will add the prefix for you. Let's call it FPCSimpleGameMode. No need to check public here either, public private, because we are creating it inside our project. Put the header file and the CPP together. Let's just create it. Okay, obviously it has already been created here, right? Let's first. There is leveling coding here. We'll remove leveling coding later. It actually succeeded. This is also a good thing. Good. Next, we will create, because we need to create the player controller. In order. Good. We create a player controller. Then we call it FPCSimplePlayerController. Okay, then we just put it here. Good. This also triggers leaving coding. Okay, good. We'll leave it alone. Next, we create an actor. Okay, let's continue here. You can select it from here. You can also select it from here. These are some common ones. Then we'll call it FPCSimpleCounter. Okay, good. There shouldn't be any issues. Make sure not to include any special characters here. Put it here. Next, we also need to create a projectile and two components. Okay, let's continue creating. So this projectile, it is based on actor. We'll put it here. Its name should be FPC Simple, then call it project. Project. Okay, after this is created, we will create two components. One is our we can have our pickup component. Pickup component inherits from sphere component. It doesn't seem to be here. Then let's look for it. This is the circular collision one. It should be this one. It should be it. Okay, Sophia component. Then we call it FPCSimplePickup is fine. Okay. Okay, then next we will create the last component, which is our weapon component. This weapon component inherits from scale mesh component because it serves as a display object for this weapon in the scene. So that's how it is. And its name, we will call it FPCSimpleWeaponComponent. Okay, good. Let's create it. Okay, after we finish creating it. Now let's close it for now. Because we created so many things, always definitely needs to be reloaded. Let's wait for it to exit. Then we reload. It should be loaded by now. Let's check if there are any tasks pending in the background. Let's compile it first. Make sure the compilation passes. Because if you compile now, sometimes it might not pass. The reason is very simple. For example, when we compiled just now, the reason it didn't pass, it said that an editor already exists, so it couldn't pass. Let's close it. This is because he might need to use something like, then let's try again. That should be due to a background process. Let's compile again. If you create a file this way, writing it like this is fine. But sometimes the path of the header file, that as its source, the path for its CPP file to include the header file, sometimes folder nesting issues may cause it to fail to include, so you need to handle it manually. Compiling on our end is fine. Then let's take a look at the file we created. Okay, this is a very clean game mode. This is a character. Then within this character, it actually hasn't done much with these. It just calls the parent class method, and this is the pickup component. This is also a pure component, and the play control is also pure, and this is a pure actor object. This is fine too. Everyone should be quite familiar with it. Okay, good. Then let's stop here for this lesson. In the next lesson, we will guide everyone to write the code logic inside step by step and then create and assign its blueprint class.